Today's session was about happiness at work and how that relates to Gore. The thread of the argument that I was posing today was that to connect to people, you have to connect to their human emotions. You can do that in various ways, but the best way is to have a value-driven organization that sticks to those values, that creates from those values principles that are used and run throughout the organization, the way that you connect and engage people. So the manifestation of that is that leaders, which is a gift word, you have leaders because you have followers and followers choose to follow, is a mechanism to connect to the person. So we talk about a sweet spot analysis of understanding what the associate is passionate about, what the business need is, and what the real commitment needs to be for them to deliver that sweet spot. And if you can get through all of those, so you have a passionate associate with their skills and business need match, then you've got true engagement. And if your process also encourages alignment and you work in trusted teams, then you get that full engagement of the associate and an empowered relationship. You speed up decision making and you create a level of contribution that's appreciated by all of us, and specifically people at work. And if you're contributing your value and you have a voice, then I believe you'll be happy at work.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say.
Change. Informative. Thought-provoking.
Inspiring.
It's fanatical. Inspirado. Inspirational. Intriguing. Inspiring.
So Gore's been around since 58. I'll do the first slides, because there are only pictures anyway. We've been around since 58. It started in the basement of Bill and Viv Gore's house. He was middle-aged, I guess. He had 3 kids at college. He worked on PTFE, a relatively new material that was invented maybe like 6 or 7 years before that. In the first 6 weeks of that material, every single property about it was known. We've been leveraging that material ever since in different applications of that 6 weeks of knowledge. He had an idea for it. He worked at DuPont. He went to DuPont and says, I think it can do this. And DuPont goes, we're not bothered. He went again and says, we really should do this because it's really good. And they go, we're really not bothered. And he went again, and finally the guy said, look, why don't you just leave and do it yourself, because we're not interested. So he left. He says, one-off opportunity, he left. And started to work in his basement on the 1st of January 1958. So this is Bill and Viv Gore, and that's their basement. The first product they were trying to make actually was a ribbon cable. So back in 58, there was a market, computers were starting to be built, IBM had a need, and the way they did cables up until that point was pretty antiquated, big, you couldn't fold them, they had a very large radius. And the idea that Bill had was he could use PTFE as an insulation and create a ribbon cable which will allow you to connect these things in a much smaller space. And he built his first ribbon cable in the basement of his house using a mandrel from his wife's laundry, some pans from her kitchen. And it went from there, basically. So the first product was a ribbon cable, and we still have an electronic products division. We are around the world now, both in terms of manufacturing sites and sales offices. We're 10,000 plus people, and we're over $3 billion in sales in a very diverse range of products. I'm not going to go through that, but we are still, and I'm passionately, privately held. So privately held means the family still own the business, but the employees, every single employee owns a bit of the business too. So we're an employee ownership organization. That gives us a lot of benefit in the sense that, one, you want to come to work because it's your money you're investing, not only your time. So there's a motivational piece as being an associate, and we're all associates. But the other piece about it is we're not pandering to some 25-year-old on a computer in a financial office telling us whether we've done a good job or not. We can make decisions and choices. And some of you are in luxurious position of being able to do that too. Some of you probably aren't. But it's very important for us. It's about being a great place to work. We've been recognized multiple times, I think, we're the third best workplace in Europe as a whole. We no longer do the Sunday Times, although that is an excellent measure of engagement. So if you want a measure of engagement statistically, and Gore is full of scientists, we're all flipping PhDs and doctors and stuff, right? So if you want a statistical measure, the Sunday Times is a great way of measuring actual real engagement. So we're recognized in all of the countries that we serve. And one of the only ones that's been in the Fortune 100 best companies in the US since '98. I think there's only 3 or 4 companies that's been in it every year, and we are there. So that's what we try to do. That's an indication of the reflect of our effort internally to Gore, okay? So we're recognized for innovation as well. So the other piece is we're a manufacturing company, so it's about innovation. So that you can't be a successful business unless you innovate. So we're recognized for innovation, and the diversity of our products is part of that. But I would argue that's because of the culture that we run, right? It happens, okay? So I started off saying it's about technology. It is all about technology. It's at the heart of everything we do. If we haven't got a product or a means or a science behind selling something, we don't feel like we're in the right business, okay, and we'll pull out of that business. So it's about having a creative, unique solution, which is about understanding the market, understanding the technical challenge, and then delivering something that adds real value and benefit. At the end of the day, as a company, we're committed to fitness for use, so whatever we produce needs to do what it says on the tin. So I'm glad so many people put their hands up for Gore-Tex, okay? One of the few things you can do with Gore-Tex is you can actually wash it and it will still be waterproof afterwards. If you haven't got Gore-Tex and you've washed your jacket, hard luck. It's probably not waterproof anymore. So it's about fitness for use, and realization just in a simple Gore-Tex jacket or a cycling jacket is you're going to want to wash it because it gets really smelly. So guess what? The properties need to maintain their performance. And if we're building something to go to in the space shuttle or a spacesuit or an aerospace or a cable assembly that's going into a Boeing, or even the little filter that's in your car headlights that stop them steaming up, that allows some movement of gas, it needs to work. And that's what we call fitness for use. So it's about standards, it's about understanding that core principle, and it's about understanding our customer needs and end-use applications. All of that was about who's Gore, so you understood. Now I'll talk about the real stuff, right? So happy. So happy at work. So Marcus Buckingham would say happy is a way of living, right? It's just a choice. You can choose to be happy. Even if things are bad, you can choose to be happy. All we strive to do is try and make it an easy choice. Right, it's not really hard. Yeah, I'm going to be happy. It's really hard to be happy. All you're trying to do is, actually, it feels pretty good. I can be happy here. This is all right. We can do that. That's what it's about. But what does that mean? And I would argue, it's not about how tall you are to get your bill higher than anyone else, because then you get a chance to succeed, which is what penguins do, by the way, if you're confused about what the penguin was trying to do. I'm taller than you, look. It's not about that. In fact, it's the opposite of that. Because to do that, you've got to put someone down. Well, you can be happy at the expense of someone else. That's the opposite. Because no one, then at best, you've got half that's happy and half that's unhappy. Well, who would go for a 50% success rate in a product launch? Why would you do that? Right? You want to be 100% happy, because that's success. So what is it that you have to peel away to get to everybody? Because everyone's different. So there's only one thing, and that's human emotions. So, 2 minutes, tables. I want one thing from your table that makes you happy at work. You personally, happy at work. So 2 minutes to the tables, one thing from your table makes you happier at work. Regather. So who's going to volunteer one thing at your work that makes you feel happier? Come on. Otherwise I'll come table by table. Yes, we have one. Trust. Relationships. Trust. Feeling valued. Carrot cake. A piece of carrot cake and you're happy. Right. It's about delivering something. Contribution. Freedom. Okay. Excellent. What links all those words together? If you listen to those words, what would you sum up as them as a characterization? What would you characterize them as? Empowerment. I would call them values. I think your company needs to have values. Values that you can connect to irrespective of your role, irrespective of your country, irrespective of your background, irrespective of your upbringing. It's got to connect to your human value. Trust is a classic human value, right? It's a gift word. You can't buy trust. You can only be given it, right? So you can either choose to accept it or not, but it's a gift word. Gift words are really, really important. And understanding what a gift word is and what does it mean is really, really important. And especially if you're in a leadership position, because gift words is all you should be hunting out, right? Otherwise, you're not a leader. You're a manager. You're a boss. Because leaders is a position of gift given by followers. And you can't buy followers if they're authentic. So, values-driven organization, it needs to connect to human emotions because that's the only thing that's common to all human beings, right? Nothing else connects us all. And you've got to use it to foster real engagement. So if you haven't got values, go write them down. If you've probably got some values, but you probably haven't got them explicit and stated. So get them explicit and stated. Define them, debate them, argue them. See what they mean in practice. So in 2002, so I joined Gore in '96. So I'm a process engineer, electrical engineer by trade. In 1999, in August, the plant manager of 220 people producing something like £80 million worth of kit every year called me into his office and he said, John, I'm off to the States for 9 months. I've asked the team, they want you to lead the plant. I was 33 years old. I'd had a student for one summer. That was my managerial experience. We had a great time that summer. And I looked at him and I said, what the hell makes you think I can run the plant? I've got no experience in operations, production, vendor management, custom controls and all the other things that come with shipping product around the world. I go, well, the team think you can, and that's all that matters, right? This was a Wednesday. He disappeared on holiday for 2 weeks. The following 2 weeks, he came back for a week, and then he was gone. And I was in his office. Now, in Gore, we call that followership, right? And I was appointed a leader by the team because he went and asked the team. And I was a member of that team. And they'd looked to me and said, no, we'll follow John. Now, that's a gift. So in those 2 weeks, I went and asked them, right? Do you really think I can do this? And it's a gift. So leadership is a gift if you've got followership. So they followed. So that was 99. In 2000, after a year, it had been a complete and total disaster. And I was confused. My head was like spinning. I'm like, I'd always been successful. And as a manufacturing leader, there's only 3 things you have to do. It's a very simple job, really. Operations is don't kill anybody, deliver your product on time, and meet your financial forecast. I hadn't killed anybody, but we'd had some incidents. We'd failed pretty much consistently through the whole year to deliver our products on time. We had all sorts of different vendor supply issues, our own system issues, different types of things. And I'd thrown a bucket load of money to try and recover the situation. So after a year, I hadn't killed anybody, but I'd failed on the other 2 things. And I was sat there going, I'll just go back to being a technical engineer, sit in the corner and program machines, it'll be fine. And then I went to the Leadership Trust for a conference. It was called the Head and Heart of Leadership. And I was so confused going to that conference about, should I quit, should I not? I had a young family, what should I do? Can I, go back to just being an engineer? In that conference, I understood something about leadership. And it was about the head and heart of leadership. It was about IQ and EQ. And I'd never heard this term EQ before, emotional quotient, right? And a light bulb went into my head. And the light bulb was, other people saw in me things I didn't know existed. Right? You got to get self-aware. You've got to understand how you make people feel and how you impact on them. And it's about human emotions. And I came back, I didn't quit. I completely changed. And then in 2004, we won Best Companies to Work For in the UK, which was the proudest moment of standing up and taking that award. So it's about engagement. And where does that start from? It's about the belief in the individual. So we've got a core value, which is belief in the individual, and we believe everybody walking into work wants to do a good job. We place trust immediately you walk in the door. So if someone comes into the door and they want to know what the financial situation is, as a leader, I'll say, yeah, this is it. This is where we're at. Free, open information. We trust people, right? Because if you haven't got the information, how can you make decisions? So it encourages this self-direction, but it also allows associates to participate in defining their own commitments. So we trust people to create their own job descriptions. We don't have job descriptions. You write your own every year. What you're actually writing is a solemn promise to deliver what you write down and saying what you're going to do. Now, it's done in a discussion, and the discussion is around this. It's about your interests and motivation. It's about your skills and experience. And it's about what the current business need is. You've got to balance all 3. And then you get a passionate associate in the middle. Because the business need delivers contribution. The skills and experience they have, they're just using the tool set that comes with them. And you're motivating them because they're interested in the topic. If you can get all 3, everyone can be happy. Right? So our leaders, managers, our team leaders, all they're striving to do is find places for associates that meet those 3 criteria on a day-to-day running basis, right? So this comes with some criteria as well, right? So you've got to be clear about what your business need is. If you haven't got a clue what your business is doing, you haven't got a clue where you want it to go, really hard to explain what that is, right? So you need to know where your business is going, because otherwise you can't have that conversation. You should know this, and the associate should know this. And if they don't know this, they need to go find out, and you should offer training and help for them to go and do that self-appraisal, self-awareness, appreciation of what they do and can do and are interested in doing. If you can do that, at least a higher level of engagement, which Sunday Times is the best measure of. Did I say that before? Yeah. So for those engineers in here, you can go out and measure it. You can track it, and you can do SPC on it if you want, right? So we'll have these in common. 2 minutes at your tables. And if those who haven't read First Break All the Rules by Marcus Buckingham, it's a Gallup poll that tried to understand what the most successful companies in the world did to be successful. So what does Leicester City and First Break All the Rules have in common? Hopefully most of you have read it. If you're not, imagine what the top companies in the world do, or just think about Leicester. So a minute, because we're running on, a minute at your tables. What have they got in common? So, okay. So it takes 57 million and a good manager to win the Premiership. Who'd have thought it? So any ideas what they've got in common? So fostering belief and team spirit around what's possible. Yeah. Okay. So this is mine. So focus your team on strengths, not working on weaknesses. Right? So each of those players in Leicester City know what they're good at. And guess what? They just improve and improve and improve on that strength. You're not trying to make a defender an attacker or an attacker a defender. It's about what role they play. They're very clear about that role. So it's the commitment and what is expected of you. What job are you expected to be doing? And what is the team expecting you to do as part of that team? So I'm a Liverpool fan. So when you've got someone like Jordan Henderson, you know he's going to run all day for the whole of the team, right? You're not so sure about Benteke this year. Is he going to run? Is he not going to run? Not quite sure, right? When that gets and invades in the team, when you're not quite sure, that level of belief dissipates, right? So in Gore, when we talk about a commitment, and it's a core value of ours, it's a personal, heartfelt commitment to deliver. There is an expectation that you will deliver what you say you're going to deliver. There's a trust that you'll deliver. And there's a mechanism that if you don't, the team's going to cut your head off. There's got to be a mechanism that adjusts, right? With safety nets, obviously, right? But there's got to be consequences of not delivering. And that's not a one-to-one discussion with your boss. That's a one-to-one discussion with all of your teammates. And it's an encouragement of your teammates to tell you whether you're delivering on what you said you were going to deliver on a day-to-day basis. It's creating an environment of awareness and appreciation and expectation, and it's okay to do that. It's okay to say in a meeting, no, I'm not going to do that because I haven't taken that commitment. And it's uncomfortable because people might expect you to do it. It's uncomfortable. But you've got to be authentic to what you can do. The worst thing you can do is take on more and deliver less, right? Because that damages you in the eyes of the team. It damages the company and stuff that's not getting done, right? That's the worst case you can get to. How many people suffer that on a daily basis, that they've taken too much or their expectations are too high, that there's no way they can deliver it, right? Then they stay all God hours in the day to try and recover it. And guess what? You don't do it very well, even though you're spending hours and hours and hours and hours doing it, right? It's about being clear about what your commitment is and about delivering that commitment. The other one, which is in the book, if your company answers, or if the associates in your company answer strongly that they have a friend, a personal, heartfelt friend at work, you will do better as a business. Having a friend at work is very important. Now, that Leicester team appears to me they're all mates, real mates. I don't think that's true of many Premier League football teams. Successful teams are exactly that, a team that contributes together. It's about the balance of all the strengths of the team balanced together. You've got to get to a level of self-awareness to understand what that even feels like. When you're in a team, when it's balanced well, you can feel it. You can feel it happening. Things happen that surprise you every day. How the hell did that happen? How did we get that done? Who did that? Wow. That's what it feels like. So would you like to work for a company, and I'm not sort of saying you should come to work for us, but would you like to come to work for a company where each make their own commitments and write it down? So you haven't got a job description, you write your own. Judgment of your contribution to the success of the business is made by your peers, not by your boss or leader. Yeah, they have a part to play, but if you're in a team of 10, it's the whole team of 10, including the leader, that ranks your contribution and says whether you've done a good job or not. Right? There are no job descriptions, titles, grades, or salary boundaries. So one of the issues you get in some companies is there's a management structure and there's the other structure. And if you stay in the other structure, you've got no chance of getting the car or the foreign assignment or any other things that come with this other structure, right? We don't have any structures. It's just about you and what you contribute and whether you're useful. Where qualifications are secondary to passion about getting stuff done. I'm a great example of that. I had no experience. So if I'd gone for an interview to lead a plant of 200 people, they wouldn't even looked at the CV, right? What they saw in me, I didn't know myself, and it took me a journey to discover it. But they saw something, and they were willing to do that. Trust, belief in the individual, trusted to see it succeed, right? So it's not about qualifications, it's not about the IQ world, it's about the EQ world. You need enough IQ, but anyway, it starts to deteriorate after 25, right? So why the hell would you measure that, hiring somebody when they're in their 50s? You're going to say, well, what were you like when you were 25 on this IQ test that we've just made you do, right? Why is that relevant even? You've got to have enough. EQ grows throughout your life because it comes with experience, it comes with understanding, it comes with self-awareness, and it comes with appreciation of human emotions and how that affects work, right? So why wouldn't you just measure that? Where promotion is decided by yourself. So because we take our own commitments, what is a promotion? It's additional commitments. Is it not? You get broader responsibility or accountability, or you take ownership for something else. That's promotion. So because we take our own commitments, we can promote ourselves every year, every day, every opportunity. You've got to balance that around that whole work-life balance and whether you can deliver it or not. But self-promotion is how we grow in Gore. And actually, one of our core beliefs is a freedom principle. And the freedom principle is freedom to grow and develop and help others to grow and develop. So we're not going to stop anybody going outside the department and contributing in another team that's not directly related to their day job, if you like, because they're growing and they're promoting and they're learning. We're going to hold them to that core commitment they've taken and deliver it, but if they go off and do something else that helps another team but still deliver that, they just grew. We just got something else done without having to hire somebody, without doing a job description and writing and pulling somebody in and getting them onboarded and spending the money training them before they're even useful. They're useful already. Why wouldn't you do that? Why would you have barriers in your infrastructure of your company that stops people delivering good value? Why would you do that? It just makes no sense, right? As Henry said, it's common sense. But what do? We go get a consultant and say, well, you've got to put people in boxes, you've got to define what they've got to do, and they've got to sit in this, and then you have this organizational structure, and you've got to do this, and this is what they do, and here's the book on how they do it, right? What the hell do they know about your business? We'll encourage everyone to gain promotion every day, so I sort of covered that. So that's about the individual, connecting to the human emotion of being a person and what you need to contribute. Then it's about an organizational structure. So we organize around small teams. Small teams, 8 to 10 people. You get bigger than that, it's not a small team. It's a bigger team. Then you've got other problems, right? So it's about focus and opportunities around individual businesses, whether that be a product or whether that be an initiative. So my existing state, I'm in a small team of 6 people, and we're driving a harmonization effort to standardize our manufacturing execution business process across the enterprise. There's 6 of us to do that. We've got a team of 125 people involved, but there's a core team of 6. We've got individual project teams of 8 set up in certain areas and certain focus points, so that they're clear about commitment, they're clear about delivery, they know which piece they're delivering as part of this bigger, broader program, and us as a small, knowing, trusting team can have those conversations that we need to have in a trusting environment without any corridor conversations that you need to have. Not least of all, we're spread all around the world, so We're not even in the same location. So it's about encourages this collaboration piece. It's about the shared ownership of delivering of those results, and your total commitment should add up to the commitment of the team that you're in to deliver. So your commitment is a slice of the cake that gets delivered in that whole. And it generates faster and knowledge-based decisions because that team is empowered to run with what they've got. They might ask for help, right? You always need help from other teams or from other coaching or leadership or some other experienced associates, but actually you're expected to deliver as a team. That leads to empowered teams. So, engagement of the soul, the individual person, the empowerment of teams to make decisions and act quickly. The balance of that is we're all in the same boat. So we are an enterprise of $3 billion. We own big brands. We've generated big brands. And brands are not owned by a company. Brands are owned by the consumer, right? So anyone can destroy a brand because all you need to do is sow a seed of doubt in the consumer and your brand evaporates and its value is gone, right? So imagine that. So the other piece is we're all in the same boat as an enterprise. We're 10,000 associates around the world. We're in 4 different divisions. We're all connected to the Gore brand, and we're all connected to our success as an enterprise. So any team that tries to do something that's going to potentially put that enterprise at risk, we would call that waterline, and we would have a discussion around, is it worth it or not? So there's this counterbalance. There's small teams that are going out and doing stuff in their remit and in their view of their world, which is blinkered, rightly blinkered, right? But there's always the balance of, yeah, but you're part of the enterprise. How does that fit? Does it not fit? Okay? And that's the concept. We're all in the same boat. And if you drill a hole underneath the waterline, we're all at risk of sinking. So let's have a discussion. It might be the only solution, and we're going to drill it, but let's have a discussion before we drill it, right? We're able to take this long-term view because we're an employee-owned company. Which allows us to invest in the future. Gore-Tex fabric took 20 years before it turned a profit. Most companies would have killed it way before then. The reason it took 20 years is because the market didn't know it needed it. So we had to educate a whole community of people to go, this is really good stuff. You don't know what you're missing because you've never experienced it before. So we had to create the market demand because there wasn't an awareness that the product actually had value. That took us 20 years. But it also allows time for innovation. So I'm a discussion with Dan about putting stuff on the shelf. Sometimes we've created something and it stayed on the shelf for 10 years. And then we go, it's right now, we'll pull it off the shelf and we can deliver a product now because the market needs it now. So it's about when and where and how and making those choices. So Gore is special. I'm a bit biased. I've been there 20 years. I've got a big pension and I own some shares. So I want it to be special. But people do come to work expecting to do a good job. My experience, everybody wants to do a good job. They want to feel worth. It's a human emotion. Too many companies kill that off as soon as you walk in the door. And they say, you're only going to give worth for what I believe is worth, not what you believe is worth. People come to work expecting to be able to contribute. They want to leverage their strengths, their core competencies, their experience, their knowledge, the stuff they've gained through the years of hard work. Communicate is not tell. It's different. Communication is two-way. Telling is one way. It's got to be two-way. That's about involvement. Involvement leads to alignment. So, involvement leads to alignment. Alignment and empowerment leads to engagement. Engagement leads to problem ownership and innovation. If you want the team to own the problems, they've got to be engaged in the solution. If you want to be innovative, you've got to allow a voice for people's ideas to show. But it comes from here, it comes from here, and together it comes to there. So happy at Gore. Here's my definition. It's not complete. I could do some more. I did it this morning over breakfast. Clarity of commitment that's written by you. Ability to use your strengths, so you're in your sweet spot. Rewards decided by your peers. So the team that you respect and you work for and you help deliver things judge whether you've done a good job or not. Working in teams that know and trust each other, that hopefully you've got a good friend that's in there. And most importantly, a voice that is heard. If you don't have a voice, what are you in the meeting for? Why don't you just read the meeting notes? If it's a communication of this is what it's going to be, then just get the dictum afterwards. If you're in a meeting, I'm expecting a voice. I want to know your opinion. So Gore culture, it's all about people. It's about strong embedded values. It starts from that. What do we want to be as an organization, as a group of people? It's got to connect to human emotions. It's about talented associates, and we want the most diverse group of people we can possibly get. So there is not a recipe for a Gore associate other than it needs to be a human being, right? We want the most diverse group of people because we work in a diverse world, and if we haven't got opinions that's diverse in-house, how are we going to be successful in an external world, right? And if you've connected to the human being, then it doesn't matter whether you're Japanese, Chinese, from California, or New York. Actually, we're all the same. A consistent set of objectives and guidelines, clarity from leadership around where we're going, why we're going, what does it mean, spun up from the teams, right? Not pushed down from the top. And you don't need a lot of rules and hierarchy. We're a complete flat structure. I can phone up our CEO tomorrow, she'll answer the call. If one of our production team phoned her up, she'd answer the call. It's not about that. She's not making the decisions. She's facilitating the process. Leaders facilitate. They state the problem. They don't provide solutions. They facilitate the problem ownership and resolution. They don't go, this is my idea, this is what we're doing, get on with it. Because that doesn't include involvement, right? So that's it. That's Gore. Any questions? I think I've run out of time, mind. But there you go.